Welcome to Mastering Modern Midlife. I'm Catherine Grace O'Connell, and this show is powered by the Forever Fierce Revolution. Speaking of Forever Fierce, I got one of my sisters joining me today who drove in from Palm Springs. Gail Forrest, the author of Gonepausal. We're gonna not cover our faces with it, although as we were talking earlier,
we all look better.
We all look better when we're reading a book.
Always be behind a book.
Always, there's some tricks that we will get into today. So thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to be bringing a light side to a serious subject, something that we women, at midlife and beyond, or midlife, late life, and all those lives need to talk about. So thank you so much for joining us and for this amazing book that I don't think I ever stopped laughing. I mean,
that's good. Even I laugh when I read it. I'm like, did that really happen to me? But everything in this book happened to me. It's basically a true story. And it happened to half my friends too, not just me.
All names have been changed to protect the innocent, right?
Oh my God, except for his one name that I used her first name, and she's like, oh my God, Gail, everyone's going to know that's me. And in the most embarrassing chapters too, I'm like, no one's going to know it's you. Because we were in the same business together, and she thinks people associate me with her. And if they read the book, they'll know it was her who gave me this piece of personal advice.
We won't mention her on the show today. We won't draw any more attention.
But the rest of the names
have all been changed
to protect the innocent.
Yeah, and there are a lot of innocents in there that need protection from as open as you are.
Right, those horrible boys from high school.
Those boys that we never forget. They've left scars on us, all of us.
They could have broken up with you in 6th grade, and you're always like, why did he like her instead of me? It's like, 52 years later.
And now you just get scarred in the whole Match.com world and the swiping world. And it's a whole nother world.
It's another world.
It's another
underworld.
Martian world.
Maybe that's the deep state.
Underworld, dark
deep
world.
State of dating, internet dating, right?
Yeah, so we're just going to dive in. So Gonepausal. What is Gonepausal? Gone crazy? What's Gonepausal?
It's basically sort of based on when you all of a sudden in your life remember nothing. Mm-hmm. You're driving. I remember this driving when I worked downtown in Chicago, and all of a sudden you're driving, then you're crying. Then you're like, why am I crying? And then you're driving again, and you're like, wait, I have to go to work. I'm crying. But these things that just started happening. We were talking about that before the show, like these quick, they're not even transitional states. Mm-hmm. They're just like immediate states.
It's like hitting a concrete wall at 120 miles an hour.
Well, and there's no warning, because I've talked about this with other girlfriends of mine. Like, did anyone ever tell you? Like, no one even knows what the word menopause means. Like, I don't even think my gynecologist really knew. All he did was tell me everyone gets like thicker in the middle. That was it. That was the message. My mother, like I say in the book, went through menopause in one afternoon.
You do say that. I'd like to know that story, because I didn't go through in one afternoon. I'm actually going through it right now.
Yeah, it's like never. It seems like it never ends. There's and then there's like the peri, which is what's peri. I mean, who knows what that means? And then there's menopause, and then there are all the women that go, I'm postmenopausal. Truly, there must be physiological definitions for these words. There must
hormonal, but we're not the doctors, so we'll get a hormone doctor on to talk about that. But it's more the experience of it, and why, if we continue hiding it, there's more and more shame around it. Like, it's crazy to feel shame about something that we all have to go through.
I know, and no one wants to talk about it, except I was telling Catherine, like, once you like sequester maybe one woman or two, and you start talking, let's just talk about right away their new sex life. Oh my God, seriously.
Dive in. Just go ahead. Just jump right in. We'll just go right into the sex life.
But like how your sex life changes. Like it does. I mean, unless you do hormone replacement therapy, but every day there's something new on hormones. Take them, don't take them, take them, don't take them. They'll kill you, they save you.
I think I flagged one of that, the blue M&Ms chapter.
That's for men.
Yeah, it's for men, but we don't have one, right?
No.
So they pop a pill, and there's like the whole, I don't know, they're dressing their thing, but it's actually kind of cool, all the Viagra commercials. And us, we don't have that option.
We have nothing.
We have nothing.
Well, they do have like the Astroglide commercials. I mean, because there is.
There's okay.
Right, how to take the course out of intercourse.
Well, here this is women do not lose their sex drive on purpose. No, we don't. It's menopause. It's not personal. Men shouldn't get pissed off and pout that their wife, significant other, or girlfriend is denying them sex to be mean. I've seen plenty of middle-aged men who should be denied food to get rid of that beach ball they swallowed. And wasn't the midlife crisis Portia enough happiness? I mean, I love the way, you just bring light to, like you said, issues we got to talk about.
Right.
We're not choosing this. Who would want to lose their sex drive?
Yeah, nobody.
I mean, really?
But that was where I was forewarned. Like the first time I talked about it or heard about it, I was at an art fair in New York, overheard 2 clients, and they're like whispering, and they must be talking about their sex life. And then I moved in on them or just came up and started chit-chatting, and they both looked at me, wait until you're our age. You won't have a sex drive either. And the bubble over my head, because I'm not going to yell at them, the bubble over my head is that will never happen. And then when you're in your 40s and you have that great decade of sex, you just think it could never happen. And then one day,
it's gone.
Poof. Yeah.
Poof.
Like
Where did it go?
Yeah.
And then you don't think about it. It doesn't even enter your mind. Like it's just gone.
It is gone. Plus the fact that none of these men, if you're still dating over 40 or 50, the men aren't hot enough to even put the idea of sex in your head.
Well, first of all, it's the 70-year-olds who want the 40-year-olds, or the 50-year-olds. There's like a 50-year-old guy does not necessarily want a 50-year-old woman.
No.
It's very rare.
No, I mean, my male friends, I have a bunch of single male friends, and they're in their 60s. Mm-hmm. One is in their some in their 70s. And I'm too old for all of them.
It's fascinating. And you talk about that in your book. Like, have they not looked in the mirror?
Right. They don't have them.
They don't have, what's a magic mirror?
Yeah.
What is a magic mirror?
Men have magic mirrours.
They do.
They do. They do not see a true reflection. We're like, oh my God, did anyone see this part of my face today?
Lord.
I know, right? And they're just like,
let me look at that light.
Look at me, I look so hot. I mean, seriously. Well, because I spend the winter in Palm Desert where everyone's over like 70, 65. And really these men come in even with their wives or whatever. And they are mostly that are picking up women. I mean, I think this is really so prejudiced of me, or the ageism, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it is really weird to see these dumpy old guys picking up women. Like, remember when you were young and everyone's hot and you're just, it's like pick of the litter, the endless.
It's a weird world. I have to admit, I was on Match.com for less than 48 hours.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, you were?
I couldn't do it. I had like young 20-year-olds sending me naked pictures. I was freaking out. Naked pictures. I was like, oh my God, I had stalkers. It was within 48 hours. It was like all these guys swarming in, and it was really weird, getting weird. I was out. That's how long I lasted in the whole.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I have like a PhD.
Yeah. Well, you guys
have tenure.
If you want stories like, online dating stories that actually might just scare the hell out of you, get the book.
Yeah. Well, you should, because they're fun. But they're funny. Like, even if any of you out there go on these dates and you come home and you're so like, I can't believe I went. But if you think about it like a day later and you start giving these creepy old people nicknames and you can, I find I have to laugh about it, but I still venture forth, which is unfortunate. But there's a funny side, like everything I write about in this book. Like if you looked at it in a different way, they would be sad. Yeah. Like I can't remember my password. I mean, and we can all relate to this because we didn't grow up technologically oriented. There was no computer. I mean, I remember having a typewriter that was so happy it erased my mistakes. And now you have a computer, you can't remember your password, it's making noises, it's clunky.
Oh, gee, I've never had that.
Yeah, and you're just frantic. I mean, completely frantic.
What was the chapter in the book? Was it your glasses or your keys and like in the dishwasher? And that was really hilarious. I mean, you're looking at places where you shouldn't look. But
who looks there?
Yeah, who looks there?
And then you find like an old Snickers bar and wonder if under the seat of your car and wonder if you shouldn't eat it. Maybe, like what goes over my head, maybe it's still edible. I'm a little hungry. I know. But I think that's the fun part. So here you are like 40, over 40, over 45. And it's really kind of like, what the hell, right? I mean,
well, I think it's really important what you said. You know, on a serious note, there are serious subjects that the only way we can talk about them are to bring light to it. You know, to intermix comedy with a serious topic, because how else the heck are we going to talk about menopause?
right. We're not.
It's the only way.
We're not going to talk about
No,
it.
we're not going to talk about it, but you are. And comedy, where does that come from? I mean, you're hilarious. This book is, the nice thing is they're little tidbits. They're tiny little chapters.
And you can see
They
the print.
are rip-roaring funny.
Yeah. I think it's just how I feel like the latter day Irma Bombeck, because how she
Loved
looked at
her.
everything, and it was, kind of morphed with Joan Rivers, snarky and everyday stuff. I mean, things happen. This isn't like, happened 10 years ago. It's every day something funny happens to you. I mean, every day, like even coming here, had I not someone driven me here, I would be on the side of the road weeping, literally screaming, pounding my phone against the dashboard because I can't figure out how Google Maps work. And I'd be over there, some other beach town. I mean, I could be on the East Coast by now.
You had a wonderful shipper who got you here early, actually.
Yeah. So that's just, but I'm saying like every day,
there's something to make light of. There's something you can get really pissed about, but you can also look at the funny side.
right. Because I could go home now later and write a whole blog about our story, how I got here. And even though had that all come to pass and I would have been hysterical and turned white and sweating, I would make it funny because because I can. Maybe
Were you just born funny?
I was born funny.
You were born funny.
Maybe.
I always wanted to be. I grew up in a family with 4 brothers, and my brothers, 2 of them were hilarious. I mean, just hilarious. And I wanted that, but I didn't know how to do it. Like it's just innate.
I think it is, and I also think it comes from a certain amount of talking the bubble over your head.
Yeah.
Like even when I would work, they would say at work, "How did she just say that to those people?" But they're laughing.
So there's no edit button.
Right,
That bubble just comes right through.
There's some because you don't want to be mean. But I mean, I think it's just because I'm very truthful. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I don't say anything that isn't. I pretty much speak what's on my mind. And I think that if you start doing that, you get better at being funny because it's not all just morbid.
I never really thought about that, but I think that is true of every single comedian. They are up there just shooting from the hip, saying whatever they're thinking for the most part when they're on stage in particular.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of nerve to get up there. But when they're good at it, like casual at it and good and funny and believe in themselves and just say things. So I think that what I did starting this blog, I started this blog because these things were happening. Like, which is worse, high school or menopause? I mean, high school, if you loved high school.
Trauma.
You need
Good
to
luck.
if you need to call me.
Yeah,
because
me too.
who loved high school?
Not me.
Well,
I still write about it today.
Yeah.
I still write about it.
We grew up in a high school where you had to wear a different outfit every day or you were shunned.
It was, we both grew up in the North Shore of Chicago, and it was interesting. I didn't grow up with money. It was a very wealthy community. So I basically walked in that door of high school every single day. My mom would drive like the beater station wagon that was like my dad's foreman's old station wagon, pulling up in front of Lake Forest High School, which was designed as a mansion. So I would slink down, Mom dropped me off here, and I'd go. Right. I was like working 3 jobs to like buy the clothes that I had on, and it was just immediately feeling this less than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think high school is traumatizing.
It is traumatizing. And then I said versus menopause. Now that you have to, one of my chapters, which I think is true, like when you're growing up and you first have to go buy a Tampax, like you're hiding and you're like looking, so making sure you don't know one human being in the...
Now it's always pads, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what human being in the now it's CVS or in the local drugstore, and then you go into buying... Like, I think I would sweat so much, like I'd be so nervous at boy-girl parties and you're just buying the Mitchum's deodorant, which is probably Agent Orange under your armpits. And then you go through buying, what was it? Condoms. Okay, condoms.
That's a whole nother.
Another world.
If you're back in the swipe zone, you're buying condoms again.
Right. And so you're looking at all the different brands of condoms and you're like, it can't get worse than this. Buying condoms. And they're
like, really, nobody see me, please, because they're all going to be making fun of me.
Right.
Looking
and
at
which
like,
kind?
What is she doing buying a condom
And
her
now
age.
you're buying lubrication, which is like the ultimate, what's more, you think it just couldn't get worse. And now you're looking for the Astroglide, or if there's some other better option and you're reading, and now you pray no one sees you. Although.
See, and I love that you talk about this. We got to talk about this.
Right.
It's so true. I mean, there's a reality of our hormonal diminishing, our hormones diminishing over time. There's a real reason that it's happening, but it's affecting us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and we don't talk about it. So
yeah, and I think it's an important
it.
Conversation. And I think women like Catherine with your group, I think it's important that women have a platform or a safe place. Maybe it's just a safe place. Because, the whole world isn't your age, and you have to go somewhere where you can have this conversation. And I will say the interesting thing for me being on Instagram, Gail Forrest, it's all videos, funny videos based on the book. And they're only a minute long, so you don't have to sit there all day.
Quick, just like the book. Yeah.
But the women in the UK, I will say, what I really respect about them is they don't say menopause, they say the menopause.
The pause.
The menopause.
Do they say the menopause? I thought
the whole thing. It's like the queen. There's the queen and there's the menopause. And they really look at it, not in the royal sense, but in like it is something. It's an entity.
It's an entity that we have yet to grasp.
Yeah, and we're just like, oh no, she saw me in this aisle.
Can't talk about that.
I just had my face lifted for the 12th time.
What is that? What is that whole like? It starts going south. What is that? The face. The face. The neck starts showing. Everything just starts like going, it just does.
Gravity.
It's like, it's like gravity. All of a sudden, we're just,
I know. One of my friends just had these giant breast implants. And she's younger than I am. I'm like, someday they're going to be at her knees. I mean, seriously.
It's one of those things that flips. When I was growing up, I was flat as a pancake. I still am. And I wanted larger breasts because that's what, everybody else had wanted. But I'm so happy I don't have them because that's what women talk about. They're down to your knees.
And
they're
starting to buy a bra that fits right? That's one of my big
right.
things in here. I've been in every dressing room on the North Shore of Chicago. And isn't the first thing when you go home at night, you take off your bra?
Yeah.
Who doesn't do that first? And the art of taking it off while keeping your clothes on.
I don't wear a bra very often. So I the first thing to go is the bra. I find it really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And growing up, all you wanted to do is be able to buy one.
Right.
And now you're just like, oh, I hate them.
I want to read another clip because this is one of the funniest. I mean, every chapter it'll have you howling. Mirror, mirror on the wall. That can't be me. By mistake, I glanced in the hall mirror on my way downstairs. I think I briefly lost consciousness before letting out a small shriek. I surprised me. Whoa, who was that? I backed up, took a closer look. I needed emergency lipstick, eyeliner, rouge, or it actually wasn't me, but my mother. I quickly decided to try another mirror and ran to the bathroom, cannily to save myself from personal ruin at 10:15 a.m. I only turned on one of 3 light switches. So much better. Although I was squinting. Squinting definitely improved my skin tone. I decided not to call my therapist. Truthfully, it's a shock to catch myself in the mirror these days. When did the prom girl version disappear? Haven't we all had that? I don't care how you look. I think we've all had that moment.
Right. I would be shocked if you do because you're so pretty.
Oh, no. Are you kidding? No, I write about it all the time on my blog, and I had terrible self-esteem growing up, and that those voices still come up, and especially in this world of social media where I honestly, I'd never heard of Instagram when I started this journey just over 3 years ago. I did not know people edited the photos. I was stunned. I'm like, really? I thought magazines, yes. No, I'm learning. And now I do it.
On Instagram, they edit them?
Oh, yeah, of course. I do too. Yeah, I have a photographer. He edits.
I never
But
did
yeah,
that.
everybody edits. Yeah, there's a million edit, apps out there. You can take photos through edit apps. And yeah, it's a whole new world. And I tend to be real about it. I might put pretty pictures up, but I'm going to tell you what's really going on internally. Because I think women, we beat ourselves up.
We do. And I was thinking earlier when we were conversing about men who are so confident, like they seem to be, maybe they're not underneath, but like when I go home, the first thing my mother says, oh, you look good, how I look. Yes. I don't walk in the door. Oh, I have a funny story, Eddie Murphy story. I don't walk in the door and she goes, oh my God, Gail, you're so smart. That's Good for you. You're so smart. The first thing she says is, "Oh, your hair looks good. Oh, or you look so good. I like, what are you wearing?"
And that we perpetuate because that's what we do with other women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Eddie Murphy tells a story that when he was growing up and every time he came down the stairs or went home, his grandmother would stand in front of him and go, "Yeah, Eddie," and applaud. I mean, whose mother does that? Nobody. But we don't grow up that way. But maybe we try to treat our children that way. But this generation of women, I don't have one friend whose mother ever talked about menopause.
No. I mean, it's still really rare out there.
Very rare out there.
Very rare out there. And like you said, it instantly sort of ages you. There's this, even calling yourself a woman, midlife is cooler than late life. And certainly second act is cooler than third act. We're getting cooler, or levels. Some people say levels rather than our age. But for the most part, we're taught to hide our age. We're taught to hide the fact we're growing older. We're taught to hide the things that happen to our bodies.
Right.
As we get older.
Yeah, like I think I was sworn to secrecy. My mother, until she was 90, wouldn't say her age. Like she had like 3 driver's licenses everywhere.
You said that.
Right. She like everything had a different date of birth on it. And we were like basically sworn to secrecy. Now she does because she's 101 and it's too late. But I never, and really maybe I should, I never say my age. In fact, someone asked me, was I signing up for something? Oh, to take a course at Second City. And they went, "When were you born?" I'm like, I think it's illegal now to ask people when they were born. I don't think you're allowed to anymore because of ageism.
Well, yes and no. My daughter's an actress here in Hollywood, and they have this whole IMDb, and the whole actress community like went nuts when they made them actually put their ages on there. Because instantly there's a perception, there's a psychology of when you know someone's age. You think differently about them. Right,
you think differently about them.
You do.
I have friends who swear the reason they didn't get jobs was because they looked old. They looked older, or their age.
Ageism, obviously, that's my platform to make age cool. I think we're really cool. But ageism is like the only ism that every single person on the planet will face. Everyone,
right?
No matter what. And it's the one we don't talk about. We talk about every ism. We don't talk about that ism, but we are.
Yeah. I know, it's funny. And men do age, because now I'm thinking, I remember when Henry Kissinger was the most attractive man alive, and every woman wanted to be with him, every movie star, like famous movie stars. And oh my God, have you ever seen him in person? Now he looks,
He's not Brad Pitt. He's not Brad Pitt.
No, he's like a hobbit.
But that shows you there's this intellectual thing with guys. The qualities we look for in a man is vastly different than like women. It's superficial.
Because women because men power and women like powerful men, and men do not like powerful women. It's tough.
We're bitches. if we're powerful, right? I mean, there's an interpretation. There was a whole Nike ad recently about like Serena Williams, and when she got really angry at one of the big, tournaments. Yeah, exactly. And she was portrayed as this bitch, and they were actually celebrating these women that stood up for themselves, because we keep perpetuating that myth. You can't stand up for yourself or express anger, express emotion. That's unnatural. It's actually very natural.
Yeah, but we're not allowed. Of course, we're allowed to. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what's good about this whole movement, and even like admitting that you're menopausal. I mean, admitting things that happen to you. I mean, look, men get erectile dysfunction. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the TV. I mean, that's worse to me. And they are embarrassed about it.
We'll get into that. I think we'll read a clip from the Purple Pill. We got a Purple Pill chapter in here.
Good.
Yeah.
Blue M&M.
Blue M&M. The Purple Pill. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like how you renamed it. All right. So we're going to dive right in here to blue M&Ms.
Blue M&Ms.
Blue M&Ms.
They're everywhere, and only men get them. I mean,
we have to change that. We have to change that.
I know.
We need our own M&Ms.
We need our own M&Ms, but so far Big Pharma hasn't figured out how to do it. Only for men, is that a
Big
coincidence?
Pharma is run by men, right?
Yes.
It's a conspiracy.
It's conspiratorial. And anytime you turn on the TV, the 2 people in bathtubs, the first time they did that, you're like, what the hell is that about? And it was a whole ad campaign for Cialis. I think even my dad wondered why they were in 2 different bathtubs. Anyway, so I decided that I would call Viagra
the Purple Pill
blue M&Ms. So I'll read a little bit from it. Mother Nature must be a man. Women get menopause and men get Viagra. Is this a midlife sleight of hand or a dirty trick? The pharmaceutical industry is complicit in this also, as the little pills are doing landmark business. Do you know how expensive they are? FYI. Only now the patent's expired, so now they're cheaper.
They'll have to bring them down.
Yes, and let's not forget the doctors who are handing out these babies like they are blue M&Ms. The world of relationships is now on tilt. Which is true, because women, like I continue to say, women do not lose their sex drive on purpose. It's menopause, not personal. It's like The Godfather, business, not personal. But like, I'm not doing it because I hate you.
Right. I know, exactly. Although I suppose it comes in handy if you're in a relationship where you don't like somebody.
Right.
But no, it's true. Who wants to? Nobody wants to lose their sex drive. And we like our own little pill. But I've heard some, and I've honestly never been with a man who's been on Viagra, but they certainly have some pretty funny comedy routines when Viagra goes wrong.
Well, here's the other thing I find so funny. It's like one of the things they go, if this happens, if you have an orgasm, if you have an erection for over 4 hours. Now, if anyone out there is listening and you want your man to have an erection for over 4 hours, I'm going to give you my home phone number. Because I want to know why. I want to know much more about that.
Unless you're in that business. Unless
you're a porn star.
That's what I mean. Unless you're in that business. Unless you have to do it for a living.
But I'm sure they cut before the 4-hour mark.
It seems exhausting.
Oh my God.
Exhausting.
And that's one of the side effects. Although this is another funny story. One of my friend's husbands told me that for the first time he took a Viagra, and this can happen apparently, and it's blue. He turned blue.
Seriously?
Yeah,
that's a new one on me. I don't know anything about turning blue.
No, seriously.
Really?
I mean, I don't think he was lying. We weren't like, right. It was crazy.
That is hilarious.
So there are side effects. And it's not so great because you have to take it at a certain time. And it's not that great for women because I think men, just to get a even more realistic here, I don't even know if they orgasm with taking Viagra, but they get the hard-on that they haven't seen in like 20 years or whatever. But
I got to tell you, it's out of my wheelhouse. I know nothing other than what I hear, and I probably read more about Viagra in your book.
Yeah, because I just think it's not. You're right. It's not fair.
It's not. I know. There's a lot of things. The magic mirror thing. That's not fair. I think every young girl should be born with a magic mirror.
Well, because remember the fairy tale mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. And of course, it was never poor. Was it Snow White or Cinderella? Or
it was
one of them.
It was Snow White.
Yeah, and she felt she had such low self-esteem with her alabaster skin, and the evil stepmother. Her sisters made her feel so bad. Like I don't know if men, because I have a son. Like I don't think I instilled that in him. I don't know how women how that happens to women.
Well, you were just saying on the break, when we took a little break, that when you see your mom or you see your friends, they're like, oh, you look so beautiful. I love that outfit. I love those shoes. Oh, what lipstick are you wearing? But it's never like, you are just awesome. I mean, you are so smart. You are so creative. It's always about how we look, our external world.
It leads with that.
Yeah,
I mean, my mother, that's for sure. She was like, the Estee Lauder queen, like I will never get that scent out of it's like embedded in my DNA now. But it was always about even school, growing, everything. It was now, thankfully, I think that the tide has turned, and we are leading the
revolution. We have a revolution. If you guys don't know about it, hopefully you know about it. Forever Fierce Revolution. Join the revolution, which is really it's a revolution internal that happens. It starts inside and it ripples outside. So the only way we can really change is internally, changing our thoughts, changing the way we look at ourselves, giving ourselves that magic mirror, which is honestly one of the ways I healed from Lyme disease. I started creating a magic mirror.
Right.
I started looking at myself differently.
And look how she looks.
Well,
I'm so jealous I had to have my hair done to come here.
But that's all relative. I mean, don't you know there's always going to be someone, that you then go, oh my God, I want to look like her. But I want to do blondes really have more fun? I was afraid you were maybe take me down after all that blonde stuff I read
maybe I'm
here.
just jealous. Only I've tried. I've had like streaks, but it doesn't work. And I love being brunette. I mean, I do. I love being a brunette. I don't want to be a blonde, although it's very, very pretty. I do not want to be one, but ultimately, no matter where you are, if you're in a bar, every head, not women, but every male head, everyone, bar done, turns when a blonde walks in. They don't have to see her face. She could be a man.
I've actually seen that. They turn and they are a man.
Right? I mean, they could be someone in drag, but every male head turns for a blonde.
That's really fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating because it's happened to me. I mean, I always brought a book if I went out with my girlfriends because I did a lot of reading in a bar. I read a lot.
Because we look better. Like you said, we look better. Maybe you look at me.
Because no one talked to me. Because when I was always very serious, I'd be like, oh, do you like Salinger? I mean, I never had that light banter. See, I don't know why I'm funny. I never had the light banter with people in a bar, men in a bar. Because I want a funny guy, but I want them to be smart. So I personally am always looking for the smartest guy in the room. But
I think women are drawn, again, I think that's a cultural thing too. I think we're raised that way to be captured by a man's personality, not necessarily the way he looks, who he is.
Yeah, but a little, all right, I got to contradict you a little.
You go ahead, yeah.
Because now when I have tenure on Match.com.
You have
as
tenure?
As soon as they make it a university.
I lasted less than 48 hours and you have tenure.
Yeah, well,
give me 5 on that. I mean, I don't know how you did it.
I'm not even proud of it,
but you earned it.
But I will tell you how I think this, because even though you kind of lose your sex drive, you have to realize, everyone still has it buried somewhere. But when you go out with someone, now for me, when I go out with someone who's willing to go out with me, the queen of one date, that is me, who's willing to go out with me, you still look at them, you're across the table and you're looking at some 70-year-old guy, who couldn't give a rat's ass how they look. You're all dressed up. You're like doing whatever you do to leave the house. And they're just sitting there, they don't do any work on their face like we do, our hair color or anything. And you're just going, could I ever fuck this guy? Can I say that?
You did. Yeah. You absolutely did. Go for it.
It's sorry, all
Brene Brown says in the scientific social science research world that when you say the F word, it's powerful and you shift your energy. So you just shifted the energy.
Okay, so
thank
there
you
we go.
so much.
So
there you go. You did something really cool.
This guy, I'm going, could I ever have sex with this guy? And mostly it's no. So that's what I go. I mean, it's hard when you're on these dating sites and dating older men. I mean, sex is out there. I mean, I'm going to be a virgin again. I'm just making this announcement that you can all follow me.
Is that the next book?
No, the next book will be the re-virginization of America for women over 55. Because I never go out with anyone. I could go, oh my God, he's so hot. I could. Maybe 2 men. This is a terrible confession. Maybe 2 men in the last 2 years. I can't find anyone.
I think that's pretty universal. One of my dear friends is Jacqueline DePaul, Yellow Brick Runway. She's amazing, just walking the Paris Fashion Week runway. She was single her entire life. Now she's met the love of her life at 49.
Wow.
But she went on, I think she said it was I don't know, 47, 52, nonstop single dates, one date. And she's just strikingly beautiful. But it was this weird disconnection, because I think women want more. We want to have a relationship. We have to have an emotional connection. I know I do. And I'm not, guys will just, from what I understand, now this is in conversations with men, they want to sleep with all of them.
I did too when I was 29, 25. But, you're not 25 and it was not the 70s.
I never did.
I
was a little virgin.
More of a hippie chick. But, the 70s were different. And first of all, everyone looked different. Everyone was hot. There are very few people where you'd be like, oh, I mean, all the guys were hot, and there was the sexual revolution for women. See, I'm like 112. It was the sexual revolution.
You're older than your mom. That is
I'm
so
older than my mom.
amazing.
Don't
How
ask
did
me
that?
how that
I know
happened.
that's another book.
That's right. But so sex was just in the air, like the age of Aquarius and I lived in San Francisco and in college, but now really a virgin.
I was born in 61, but I was born into a very Catholic family that was very, my mom was a virgin when she got married. So that was permeated in, you do not sleep with someone. So I wasn't even thinking that thought.
She never found your birth control pills. My mother found mine.
No, I didn't. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. She wouldn't take me to get birth control pills. So there was no, I was if I had a thought about something, I'd probably have to go to confession.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't holy.
No, I was the last one standing though, because I went to college a virgin. And I was like, I've just got to get rid of this. It's like a stigma.
It's like, oh my
I
God.
have got to get rid of this title because it's not a good one. But now it's my title again.
There you go. You're taking it back.
It's like
You're
the statute of limitations. That's what I figured out. What is the statute of limitations for virginity? What, a year? 2 years? Well, that's going to be, I'm thinking about writing
I think you got to go with it.
The re-virginization of America.
Yeah. The purple pill is making, the blue M&Ms are turning us into re-virginization.
Yeah, to virgin.
It's exhausting. To me, when I hear that, I'm sorry for a guy, 4 hours, I'm long in bed. I'm long asleep.
Yeah, I'm like, are you done? I mean, seriously.
You go, boy, but leave me alone.
I mean, the thing about the doing your nails, filing your nails, I mean, you're on to so many other subjects. You're not even, it's important to stay with the topic, but you're not, like your mind is already.
I think it's, I love that you're actually bringing humor to this, because how else are we going to talk about this stuff? We got to talk about this stuff.
Right, because if we were sitting here having this serious conversation about...
You guys would be tuning out. Hopefully you'd
be ill.
Yeah,
I know. And like there's so many other things. Like I actually hate the New Yorker. Although the snobby little New Yorker that I was, it's like the articles are too long. I mean, things that happen.
Vanity Fair, New Yorker.
Yeah, you don't care if you finish the article anymore. You just like, throwing away this subscription. And way that they want to take the car keys away from you. I mean, so much is out there that if you can't laugh at it. I was like famous for being bathrobe woman. The back cover of my book is me as bathrobe woman. When you get home.
Yeah, the head is chopped off, but there's a bathrobe woman.
Who wants to stay in their clothes?
Don't you have that in your videos too?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean.
Speaking of videos, we were talking on the break, pee in the cup. The pee in the cup.
Peeing in a cup.
One of the most, it kind of went viral, a little viral.
Because I have a YouTube channel, Gail Forrest, and one of them, and it's in the book, Peeing in a Cup, the tragic female dilemma. Like you go to the doctor, they send you into the bathroom. The cup is a Dixie cup and men I know can pee in a thimble because they just...
Who hits the bullseye?
They just aim. They just take it out and they just aim. And here you're just like, oh my God, where is it? Well, especially, I mean, where is it different? One hole is different than the other hole. I mean, where does it come out? Well, you forget, you take it for granted every time you go to the bathroom. You're like, oh, it came out from how interesting.
Lovely.
I know, you're not.
So if you guys want to watch that video, definitely
Yeah, you need I figure when I go, they should have like a bowl.
They should a bowl. What a concept.
Yes, like a bowl, not a cup. And then I'm so nervous. If you drop the cup, it's like I was even talking to my friend on the way here because I'm embarrassed because I figure everyone finds the cup. No one finds the cup.
No one finds the cup. A bowl we would find. Now that's a concept. That's a concept to throw by your gynecologist the next time you're there.
Yeah, something much larger. It'd be Well, I don't even. Well, you try not to even go. But it's so you're embarrassed for yourself. No one's watching. The door's locked. There's no one around, and you're embarrassed.
So being a woman at Midlife and Beyond, it's like nobody tells you all these things. It's not just menopause. There's so many things. And it's also this weird cultural perception, like you were talking earlier. If I decided to shout my age to the rooftops, unlike your mom who's 101.
Or me.
Yeah, I decided I wanted to do that. I wanted to take a stand to have women be proud of the fact every year you get older, I change internally. I become cooler inside. I may not on the outside. I become cooler inside.
Well, I think you become less afraid to speak your voice, to have a voice.
Now, what about you? What's your experience been?
As a woman
As getting older, you said you have more of a voice, but how do you feel as a woman at Midlife and Beyond? Like, would you have ever said these things when you were younger? Would you have ever felt comfortable going out in public and talking about...
I was kind of vociferous. I mean, I was kind of ballsy.
But to
verbally.
this ballsy? Would you be this ballsy?
No, and I started it as a blog, and I got more and more people started following it. And now, see, my friends and I are like, I can't remember. I mean, my big thing I do is talk on the cell phone and go into a panic that I don't know where my cell phone is. I mean, do you do that all the time?
Have we all done your car keys are in your hand and you're searching the house for where they are?
But I think that the more you talk about it, because it's embarrassing, like you think you have Alzheimer's, you think you're losing your mind. And I think the more that you can come together and laugh about it, which is why I wrote it. I forgot my password. I have lists of my passwords. I don't know why I understand why we have passwords, but then your computer, what happens when I got a new laptop recently, I thought they'd have to call 911. I mean, I was like, I'll have to set this up in a hospital in the mental ward. I mean, I was like frantic. Then
again, we grew up with typewriters, I mean, it was a whole different ball game. There were no computers in college.
Yeah, but then you call someone who's 12, like, it was because then I got the Dell, the year of service, like the primo service. And I call the guy, I'm talking to some guy in India who I should have just flown over, like, and stay with me. So he's getting into my computer. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh, it's not like my old computer. I hate this computer. I was going to throw it. I'm never opening it. I'm never taking it out of the box. I'm like, well, how old are you? I mean, I think he's a genius. I think he is. He went to Oxford. I mean, God knows I thought he was like endowed with things that I could never even imagine. He was like 28.
He was born being able to do that in his sleep. Wow.
How does he know this?
Crazy stressful.
I'm like over 50 and I'm like, got acne from it. I have a rash. I'm miserable.
Haven't
really.
You guys taken your computer and like tried to smash it? I know I have.
I
know I have. Oh yeah, for sure. Or my cell phone, I am not a techie. I can figure it out. But it's a frustrating process.
Yeah, but that's what I write about. See, if you can't write about this, you're just home alone thinking you're a loser. I mean, you have to be able to talk about it. And it's funny, because when I just tell you that story, how I thought I should have been on an IV drip, seriously, I should live on an IV drip, but that's another story.
That's another story.
I know, but I mean, so I think that these are all the funny stories, and all of us that grew up in basically the technological dark ages, I mean, we need to talk to each other.
And where we grew up in the North Shore of Chicago is pretty conservative. And most people were not talking about making light of serious subjects.
Yeah, nothing.
And I think you were right when you said before, you look at, say, now this is a serious subject, but Robin Williams, someone who is the epitome of, a brilliant comedian, but it came from a dark place.
Yeah, and it left in a dark place.
Yeah, so there's really, and I think it's important to bring it to light, and hopefully when we bring it to light, we actually bring light to ourselves, because that is, a serious situation. But I think comedy is a way of taking something that is so, be it inappropriate or uncomfortable, and making it sort of comfortable.
Yeah, and making it just brings
acceptable.
Be acceptable. I mean, start talking the bubble over your head more.
Yeah.
Or start saying, not in a mean way, because I know I probably have been not mean, but
edit that bubble, like you said. Edit the bubble so it's kind coming out, but maybe don't edit, because I think as women especially, there's like a permanent edit button where it's like the people pleaser. So the bubble goes. It changes what you're saying, and then all you want to do is have people like you. So
and we just don't want Gwyneth Paltrow leading every freaking parade, like now her menopause. But I will say, I did get an article in BuzzFeed, because I thought it was pretty funny, that she's named her new product, bless her heart.
I saw something about
Madame
this.
Ovary, and she could only be taken from Madame Bovary, because I'm like, Madame Bovary, I'm thinking back to college, or I was a lit major. I'm like, something isn't right. Madame Bovary is not the woman that any of us want to model ourselves after. She was a slut
together.
Well, I mean, I think that whoever's on her team must have thought, oh, that's so cool. Let's name it unless I'm completely wrong and they just thought it was a funny name. But where else would you get Madame Ovary?
Well, I know she was the one with like the crazy vaginal egg or something.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weird stuff there.
But now she has this whole menopause line called Madame Ovary. And I wrote this whole thing that went into BuzzFeed about Madame Bovary Emma was like, she always wanted to marry above, rich men. She left her children. She left her husband. I mean, she committed suicide with arsenic after leaving her for her lover who left her. I mean, she comes to a terrible end. She was not a woman that we would want to model ourselves after. So I found that just so amusing.
I think that there's a lot of amusing parts to this. There's a lot of amusing parts to your book. And
yes, my book.
Yeah, your book. So you guys... Definitely. If you guys are going through, if you're a woman,
do you have a
midlife,
book club?
Book club. We just launched a book club.
Yes,
Forever
because I
Fierce,
think if
we did.
everyone's forced to read it, you will sit around and talk about these things.
I think it's really important. You guys want to join the Forever Fierce Revolution? We actually launched a book club. We have got really wild, amazing books in there. So I'm not in charge of the book club, but hopefully we can have this in there. I think it's a brilliant book. I think it's a conversation that we have to have. I personally think, as a woman at 57, that midlife is an incredibly empowering time. And I think part of that is that we can have these conversations.
Yeah.
I personally would never have talked about this when I was younger. I wouldn't have felt comfortable.
Well, and I think not that I'm so great, but had I not even written the book, we wouldn't be talking about it in a way that it's like, it's funny. By Bergdorf's, and first read that we should all come with a manual. I mean, it makes us laugh. And I think if you bring it into your book club, everyone has a story.
Everyone does have a story. And I think one thing that you say in there too is like, why aren't our mothers telling us this? But I got to tell you, I haven't had that conversation with my daughter. So I need to. I think the more we start talking about it and change this perpetuation of a myth that these things are shameful, when it's just life, it's physiology, it's getting older to me is getting cooler.
This is a conversation starter.
It is definitely a conversation
It's
starter.
definitely, and all the books you read that are medically, I mean, the medical books are important. To know what's happening in your body physiologically is important. But to talk about it is difficult. And if you can talk about it via something funny. Where's the funniest place you ever had sex? What's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you? Who did you kiss first? I mean, anything. But if this is like a jump starter.
It is a jump starter. So you guys get the book. Gail, let people know one more time. Let our wonderful audience know where to find you, where to find your book.
Amazon.com. And I'm on Instagram under Gail Forrest. My videos, I promise if you don't laugh, I will pay you money.
All right, that's on tape.
Oh,
That's
well, and not a lot.
They might
Not
hold
a
you to
lot.
that.
I'll send you some change. I have a lot of change. And I'm on YouTube under Gail Forrest, but and my website is gailforrest.com where you can also buy the book. And you know what? It's not expensive, and you don't need your reading glasses to read it.
It's big writing, small chapters, so it's not the New Yorker. They're not long articles.
No, you can pick it up on page 148.
You can,
and then go to page 57.
Yeah, you don't have to go front to back. You can go right in the middle. You can do anything. So you guys, this one's a rule breaker. Break the rules with this book. Gonepausal, go get it. Let's have a conversation. Let's change the conversation and shift the perception of women at midlife and beyond, because menopause is part of it. It's something I think is actually, like I said, there's a reason for it. So we're not crazy. We're just Gonepausal.
We're just pausal.
We're just pausal.
Right.
So you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you enjoyed this conversation, we would love for you to share it. Join the Forever Fierce Revolution. Share the message. Share the mission. We are on a mission to change the perception of women at midlife and beyond. I think we're doing it.
Yay, Catherine.
We're doing it. So on that note, cheers, beauties. Stay fierce.